Welcome to our podcast. I'm Iris from the Hair Chapel in Brisbane. We know hair, we understand business, and we drink wine.
My name's Meg, owner of Era Hair in Brisbane also. We're here to have fun. We're here to laugh about the sad truth and reality of running business, running our chaotic lives and making it all work.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hello, Estelle. How are you? We've got a beautiful guest on our podcast today, Estelle from Boss Coaching. And I met Estelle a while back now for the first time on a talk that she was presenting. And I was absolutely hooked from the moment I met you. And then we had a great conversation. And I'm like, I have to get you on my podcast. And here you are. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, well, that's a lovely night. That's a lovely intro. Thank you so much, Iris. That was a great event that was in Brisbane. I'm here in Sydney, though, but I've always been in regional Victoria, country Victoria. I am a business and communications coach for the hair and beauty industry globally. We work with the salon owners and the entire team through Boss Academy.
Yeah,
that's me.
That's you. And like you say, you talk very confident, and I would not expect anything else from you than to be a coach in that field, because it does take somebody really who is confident to not only having gone through the experience and then teach that sort of stuff. Now, tell us a little bit about the fact that you say you want the team to be coached, but also the salon owner to be coached, because obviously a lot of times it's one thing or another, but then they don't talk together. And that's where the miscommunication happens, isn't it?
Yeah, most certainly. I think when I first started, I worked with coaches myself and then became a coach. And mostly it was just working with the owner themselves, which still can get some results. But I wanted greater results and greater impact. So I started to involve their leadership team. And then I thought, no, I want more. I want the whole team on board, because when we're all singing the same tune, it makes it a hell of a lot easier for everybody involved. And I found that not all the information was getting through. So you'd have a conversation with a salon owner, help them on something, but then only little bits get filtered through. But when I'm speaking with the entire team, they all start to say the same things. They fill in the gaps when somebody else forgets. And so that means they're more united. Because they're speaking the same language, they understand each other, and they progress into high-performing teams sooner. So I love that.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, because we have gone through a transition from a small team to a medium team to becoming a bigger team. And that's exactly what you're saying. I've had to really change how I communicate to my team, because so much gets lost in translation. So where was it when you first thought, hang on a second, there's a gap here where I want to fix something. I want to go in there and fix that. What was it when you looked at the teams and the salon owners that was really lacking there?
I think as a salon owner, because I was a salon owner second generation too, so I've lived this experience, we feel like we've said something to our team a million times. And sometimes we think when they say to us, oh, no, you've never said that, or no one's ever told me that, there's a part of us that thinks, oh, rubbish, I did, I'm sure I did. And then there's a part of you that thinks, yeah, I didn't. And then another part that thinks, well, how has it got through to some and not the others? I just can't work out how I'm not being clear, because they've run through it, their mind, so many times. And they might have only told the team once, or they've created a PDF poster and thinks, oh, that'll do, or they sent a message into WhatsApp or Messenger. But the way we communicate, there's an actual art to it. And I think that we've been set up to fail in our industry, because we've been told at a very young age, you're really good at talking, you should be in the hair and beauty industry. In fact, our school report says we'd probably do better if we didn't chat as much. We just got all these signs that we're a chatter, I need to be a hairdresser or a beauty therapist, so let's go into this industry. And because we felt like communication was our superpower, we didn't look at it, and we did skills training in other areas like the hair colouring or the cutting itself, and we just stopped looking at the thing that was meant to be our original superpower. So simple ways in which we hold ourselves when we communicate, the way we use our hands to gesture things, and the way we phrase things and support things with other learning resources really helped to get that message through. So I could see the frustration that the salon owner had, but I could also see the team member thinking, no, I promise you, I didn't hear it. And it's maybe that the salon owner said it, but they said so many things, they couldn't pick up on what was key, what was important. So I helped with bridging that gap of communication, really.
Do you want to run your salon with confidence?
Then you have to come to me. I run an 8-week program from booked out boss to fired up salon owner. Go to my website, saloncoachingbiz.com, and you can book a complimentary, no obligation consultation with myself for a business analysis. I think that's very vital, because at the end of the day, I think in any industry, it doesn't matter if it's hairdressing or corporate for that matter, I think there is so many different people with different understanding or learning abilities or how they approach or absorb things, that as a salon owner, we start to communicate with our staff or our team the way we communicate and assume that everybody communicates on the same level as us. But as your team grows, you learn that there is different people with different conversion skills of what you've said. And like you say, one person has completely understood what you said, but another person, because their learning or their input of communication is completely different than what another person or how another person approaches it, you need to, as a salon owner, really have the skills, but also be trained on the different types of communication and the different ways to put things across and make sure that you don't come over like just being a nag.
Yes. So, yeah. And it works in every aspect of our life. Like when you said a nag, think about there's lots of husbands that would say, my wife's a nag, right? So it helps them in their personal lives as well. In fact, today I did communications training with a salon in New Zealand, and they're not naturally Australian speaking or New Zealand speaking, English speaking, I should say. So we looked at how you even communicate, how you thread in conversations, how your questioning can either look like I'm going through a list of 5 questions to try and look like I'm interested, and how the questions can be phrased so it looks genuine, like you really are interested. And it's such slight shifts, but a client can feel the difference.
Absolutely. And funny that you say that, because yesterday we did training on consultation, because there's always, I think, a massive gap in consultation. And if you don't ask the right questions in the right way and you don't get the right answers, there is a disconnect no matter what. And I think this day and age, things are changing so rapidly. And I was saying to the team that you have to become so confident in speaking. And the only way you do that is by practicing. That if you do not do that for the moment, with AI coming in, people are going to start going to AI and go, oh, I've asked AI on how to cut my hair, and that's what it said. And one of the girls said, oh my God, I had that today. And I was like, see, that is exactly my point. If you are not going to communicate properly with your team or your clients, I think for the moment, people are going to trust humans less. And I think they're going to start trusting AI more, and they're going to come in and tell you what to do, because the way you are communicating has become so a lack thereof that there is no confidence anymore in people being able to trust you to what you're saying is what should be said or should be done.
Yes. And so when a salon owner is looking at, we need to build greater trust and authenticity with our clients so they come back and they choose us, where they're looking to for that advice is either their product companies or they're going to ChatGPT.
Mhm.
Now, we're all ChatGPT to the hills right now. So we know, that caption was ChatGPT, that language is ChatGPT. So it again just reinforces how false things are. So that's not going to build connections. And then when we go to our product company, they're going to tell you about the features and benefits of the products. That's what they're there for. They're there to sell the product to you and tell you about the technical component. But what's been missing in the industry is the communication gap, the psychology part, the human behavior part of really learning what questions to ask and what we should be key things we're listening for. For instance, what happens when we're asking a client, what are the challenges with your hair?
Yep.
And a client might say to us, my hair feels really oily on the roots and dry on the ends. In our mind as a professional, we really have diagnosed their hair before they've opened up their mouth. We already know you need these things, and I need to do some foils, and you need to do this, and I probably need to fix your eyebrows, even if you're not a hairdresser, right? You've got that worked out. And then they say, my hair's oily on the roots, dry on the ends, and then we go into smarty pants zone because we heard the product company say, oh, it's dehydrated, it's lacking, or it's got excess sebum. But this is where we go wrong. And then we tart it up with, and it's got Balinese herbs in it and proteins and ceramides and fancy up the recommendation. So all of that is good, but it doesn't need to come. The first thing that needs to have happen is the client needs to hear that you've heard me. And
Yes.
the best way to do that is to repeat back what they've said. So, Iris, you mentioned that your hair was oily on the roots and dry on the ends. Now, even though you know fancy words for it, just don't say it. Just allow them the space to think, yes, thank you. Thank you for listening. It's so simple, but reinforcing using the client's words and not feeling the urge to, let's just zhuzh that up a little bit. What you're really asking me is how to get the hydration back. No, because it makes the client feel stupid, silly, and not heard. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was something that we really hammered on about yesterday, to making sure that you repeat. And that's something that you said, because I think if you repeat to a client, but also to your team, if you repeat or let them repeat to you, then you both know that they've understood and and they give their trust, or you know that they are going to be able to go ahead and do the job.
Yes.
Now, yeah, that it's very simple, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. Safe, yeah.
I've done that always as funny as a mother to my child, because she's got ADHD, I got ADHD, so we always go off with the fairies, and therefore I was always from early on have always repeated to Lana or said, repeat that to me, because I needed to know that she wasn't off with the fairies and she actually understood what I said. So to me, it's second nature. So it's something that I've always done, but I don't think it's second nature for a lot of people, and that needs to be trained. And if you don't do it constantly, it's like you need to do it to create a habit. And if you don't do that, you won't create a habit. And that's as simple as that with everything.
Yes. And so that's why we do a lot of role play. So I have a singing and performance background. So I'm very aware of how we all have little characters that we step into in life, because if we're congratulating a young child and congratulating an older person or even our friend, we vary the way that we use our voice and hold ourselves. So for anyone listening that's thinking, oh, no, I'm not into sales, I'm not into acting, I'm really sincere, you're still being sincere. This is just all different elements of you that we make sure that we're using the right one at the right time. Mm.
Now, you also say you're a straight shooter and you say it like it is. I love that, because at the end of the day, it's easy to deal with a straight shooter. Now, tell me about, what is a straight shooter to you?
Well, I remember that somebody mentioned to me once that, Estelle, you're like Vegemite, not everybody's cup of tea. And it was meant as a bit of an insult at the time, right? And I thought, wow, that's quite intense, a bit like Vegemite. But then I realized it's impactful. What I want to do is have an impact. I want to have a significant impact in your life. I want you to experience significant change. And so when I say straight shooter, I don't think a straight shooter is that I'm going to tell you like it is, even if it hurts. I'll probably ask permission for that first. And when I'm your coach, you've given me permission because you realize that here I am and I want to get to here and I want to get there faster and I can't see the things that you can see. So tell me. So I will. I think that sometimes we beat around the bush, we fluff around with philosophical things rather than here's something very simple, implement this and you're going to see some change. Yeah.
I think that is really the fact that it's got a psychological impact when you ask somebody to give them authority or allow them to do it, because then you've asked for permission, they've given you permission back, and therefore you have told them this is now accountability. And if you've paid me to be your coach, then I'm here to help me, but you need to allow me to help you. And I think that is where the learning starts, because I think you've mentioned as well, you've had some bad experience with coaching. And I think you and I both. And I think that is how you become, I think, a good coach or a great coach for that matter, because you know how not to do it. And you were saying a bad coach where there was egos and things like that. Now tell me a little bit about your experience as having been with having coached badly.
So I have had, I think it's about 6 or more coaches in as a hair and beauty salon owner. And in that experience, I've learned a lot from all of them. Even the ones that it was a negative experience can sometimes be the best learnings ever that I've had.
Absolutely.
And I worked in a coaching environment with a group of them as well and learned so much around leadership because being on the other receiving end. So some of the negative experience I have seen happen to others and myself was that it was actually disempowering. So I thought when you'd have a coach, they'd help you be a stronger version of you. But what ended up happening is it made me feel smaller, made me feel like you're better than me. I can't think for myself. I have my ideas, the way I operate is hopeless, and I need you because I can't do things, which after times you just feel worthless and like you can't make decisions and you can't lead a team. It was a really terrible experience. And it was actually from that moment, I think it was 2016, that was when I decided I do not want anybody to ever feel like that again. A coach is part of you, like an extension of you. I'm like your fairy godmother. I'm the one that you've told me, tell me what I can't see, give me comfort when I've lost self-belief in myself, but also tell me, we joke that my bum looks too big in these pants. I want to be somebody that really cares. And in our life, there's not many people that genuinely care enough that they're going to give you feedback so that you succeed. Your mum might, but even your friends are a little bit threatened by you succeeding. I think my greatest challenge is often I could want it more for them than they do themselves. So sometimes I have to say, hang on a minute. Well, I feel like I'm wanting this more than you do right now. But we need somebody that when we get low that says, hey, remember, Sally, this is what you wanted and you're straying off track. You're not honouring yourself here. So let's get back in the driver's seat kind of conversation. You asked me to be your coach, to be that person for you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that, again, it comes back to that accountability, being straightforward. And it happens, I think, in everything with your team as well. You can want something more than they want it. And I think it's painful almost for you to watch it, because you and we are such a passionate people and we can't help that. That is who we are. And we just have such a big heart and we want to give our knowledge to everybody. but not everybody, again, knows how to absorb that or how to take it on and feel either jealous or threatened, or are in nature have a victim mentality. And it's very difficult to coach people with that mentality. And unfortunately, there is a lot of salon owners out there who are singing from that hem sheet, who are the victim mentality. And they started a salon because they could do everything better and they were going to show you how to do it, which is the first start of failure, because you have to go through all the motions like you and I have had to go through, have had to grow, had to take on coaches, had to learn from bad experience, had to absorb good experience, but we've all had to grow. And I think you only grow when you sit back and accept your failures and accept that you need to take accountability for your growings. And I think that is where there is a big shortage in the whole industry, team, salon owner, that people just want everything just like that and think everything like that is just going to happen. And I'm going to take a coach and my coach is all going to fix it, instead of actually taking ownership of their own behavior on moving forward and growth.
This would be possible with our amazing sponsors, NAC.
And Either with great hair.
Do you want to be part of a great hair care range, education team and community? Go to their website, nachair.com.
Yeah, and we're naughty because we will say, yeah, no, I know, I'm going to put in the work. Yes, but every now and then I have to do a check-in and say, remember, this is what you're here for. This is what you wanted. And I also have to calibrate because, yes, we do have a program and there's so many things that they could involve their team in, but we have to check in with what. Let's say you want to be making an extra $5,000 a week. Do you want that in 6 months' time, 3 months' time, or in so many years' time? Because the amount of action that needs to have happen will affect the results. So we need to calibrate. I can have these sessions with you. I can bring your team in and mentor your team. But if you start to panic and, this is too much, but then you've got to balance up. I want the results. I'm willing to put in that action. So you've got somebody that's calibrating with you the whole way on what's really important, because we can lose our way. And we've got lots of people's opinions on how our salon should look, how our life should look, how our relationships would look. So coaching gets back to pare that all back. What's it that you really wanted when you started out? Because a lot of salon owners are exhausted and they've forgotten because they've people pleased everybody else. I've definitely experienced that myself.
Yeah. And this is the first session that I do in my coaching program is, what is it that you want? What is your vision? Because I think there's a lot of coaches, and let's face it, come on, everybody's a coach now, right? So a lot of coaches are out there and they downloaded a program and they want to teach it, but they actually are not customizing, or they're not talking to the person. Yeah, we know that that's going to work, but we still need to stick with what that person's vision is. And I think along the way, people are so overloaded with information that they lose their own way in their own business. And therefore, I've always said it, and I will always say it, coaches need coaches.
Yeah.
Because I keep my team accountable. But it's lonely at the top. So who holds you accountable? And I think we need that coach. We need that constant person. And this is why we swap between different coaches, because we have a coach, they bring you to a certain level, or we have a program that we need for that particular time. But a coach keeps us accountable. And if your ego is too big, I know it all, then that coach, no matter what you're going to pay for that coach, or no matter what that coach is going to bring to your business or your team, it isn't going to work, because you are standing in the way of that learning. But yeah, coaches need coaches. Do you have a coach for the moment?
Yes, I do. There's 2 points I want to grab off the thread here. So do I have it? Let's answer that one first. Yes, I do. I have a business coach. I have a marketing coach. I have a number of different speaking coaches as well, and a health coach. Oh my gosh, my maintenance. So I've got some
coaches need coaches.
Yes. So the first step is you've got to be in a stage where you realize that, because I know when I first started out with a coach, my mum said to me, "Oh, you don't want to coach, you'll teach them more than they'll teach you." And she was very closed off to the idea. In fact, I remember when we first got Shortcut software at our salon, she said, "They're just looking at all the things that we're doing." She was so protective. And this is what brings me to you, Iris. This is really impressive what you're doing. You're a business coach, just like me, but you've asked me to come on your podcast. So the abundance mentality that you have, that knows that everybody needs somebody, and we can't be everybody to everyone. Like we can't, like just like we've got our husband, he's not sharing them around, right? We've got to find our, well, hope not. Okay, we've got to find our person. And accept that it's so valuable for people to find their person and have growth. And it might be the person for a short time, as you say, and then it changes because we all grow and evolve.
Right.
So, yeah, I just thought I have to acknowledge what you're doing is really impressive.
I totally agree with that, because like you say, we grow, but then that person might not fit in that anymore. But then
Yes.
you grow and you go to the next, and that is how growth happens. And this is why, again, I love about that sharing part of it, because there is so much knowledge to be shared. And whatever I do is completely different than what you do. And I do believe lately, definitely, the coaches have become more niched in their field. I remember my first coach I had 15 years ago. It was a jack of all trades, a master of none. Do you know what I mean? So they were doing everything. Rather now you have a vision, you get a coach that really can help you with that, and that is how you grow. Like you are really growing in that communication part, in the team and all that sort of stuff. Rather mine are very mathematical, basic. How to spread your team accountability with their figures, because most salon owners don't even share their figures with their staff, or don't even know what their target is. So if you don't know that, how can you even have a team that makes their money? So two completely different fields. Still coaching, still helping, but there is so many other people who can help as well. Now, so that brings us almost to our end as well. So where can people find you, and how can they become part of your program?
Okay, so they can find me I'm on TikTok under Estelle Carroll, Instagram on Estelle_boss coaching, Estelle Carroll on Facebook, or www.bosscoaching.com.au. And when you talk about the different coaches for different needs, that's why my partner's involved now, because I do the business and communications. He works on the mindset part, because I felt like there's so much strategy that you can have, and I can help you with communications, but sometimes people have got a block. So that's where he slips right in there.
Right back into that.
Yes.
Okay, so you told me that you like a glass of white wine, and so I hope after this you go out and have a nice glass of white wine. So do I. So I want to absolutely say thank you to you for being part of this amazing session, and definitely go and check Estelle out. She's amazing, and we love to learn from people who have got great open mindsets. So thanks again, and wishing you all the best.
You're welcome. Thanks, Iris.
See you later. Bye. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. There you go. Yeah, it's just,